welcome back to the Nostalgia Nook, and today's episode is going to be all about the show Daria. Daria was a show that whenever I was watching it, I was definitely too young to be watching it. But I think it's one of those things where I had my TV on late at night one time and I saw the show come on and I was like, oh, this is interesting because, it's a cartoon show, and watched it, liked it, and have loved it for a very long time now. But what's the backstory on Daria? So Daria was actually a character that originated on Beavis and Butthead. She was a recurring character, and this eventually led to her getting her own spin-off on MTV that started in March of 1997, which is kind of wild to think that it came out in 1997 and it ran until 2002. And it had its own little spin-off movie between seasons 4 and 5 called Is It Fall Yet? So if you don't know, Daria is kind of a more, I would say, introverted character. She is very different from her family. And the backstory of the show is Daria and her family moved to a town called Lawndale, and she starts attending Lawndale High. And Daria obviously doesn't know anyone. She has a younger sister named Quinn who's very into fashion and very much wants to be popular, and Daria just does not relate to her. Daria is pretty alternative, loves to read, loves to kind of do her own thing, and she meets someone who is very similar to her and who's very artsy at Lawndale High, who ends up becoming her best friend named Jane. So this is Daria and Jane, and we see all kinds of adventures of theirs throughout the show: relationships, heartbreaks, friendship difficulties, all of that, and they're a very interesting pair of friends, and I just love them so much. As far as Daria's family, up there on the top right, that is her sister Quinn, and then these are her parents, and they are the Morgendorfer family, and they have a interesting dynamic. Daria's parents don't really understand her, and it kind of seems like sometimes she's teaching them things versus them teaching her things, and they're just a very interesting family. And one thing that Daria loves to do is stay home and watch this show, which was made for this show specifically, called Sick Sad World. You'll see it, I think, in almost every single episode. There will be a reference to this show, and you'll hear the little Sick Sad World and come on the TV, or you'll hear it from somewhere in the house. So that's kind of like a fun little tidbit that was in the show in a lot of episodes. And just like any high school, there are all kinds of dynamics. We have Brittany, who is this very sweet but a little bit ditzy cheerleader, and then we have her boyfriend Kevin, who is the star of the football team, not always the brightest person, but has a really good heart. And Quinn, her younger sister, makes a little fashion club at school, so there's her little posse of girls in the fashion club who are a little bit snobby at times. And one of my favorite characters is named Jody, and Jody is very much like the voice of reason. Jody is very intelligent, and Jody at one point was supposed to have her own spin-off series. I don't know if that ever happened or if that's something that they're planning to do at some point, but if they do, I'm gonna be all over it. That would be very exciting. I feel like I've watched Daria more recently. I did a little watch through because I was like, I want to watch Daria. And it still hits. It's still such a good show. I feel like it's one of those things that could be considered a cult classic at this point. I know there's a lot of people who really love Daria, and I've seen online people wanting Daria to come back. I don't know if that would ever happen, but definitely would have my interest if it did. But I was definitely too young to be watching Daria when I watched it, but it's okay. It's fine. It was a good show nonetheless, and I feel like it really stood true to the test of that time of what it was like to be a teenager and the different trials that you face and the chaos that can ensue. And yes, there was a lot of dramatization of things, but still, I feel like it really encapsulated the teenage experience, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I actually loved Daria so much that in high school I actually convinced one of my friends to watch it, and they ended up loving it. We would just watch episodes on YouTube, which I'm sure they're still on YouTube. And I also think it streams on Paramount Plus, I believe, so you can check it out there if you're interested and you've never seen it. But let me know, did you ever watch Daria? If you did, do you still try to watch it at times? Do you maybe have it on DVD or VHS or anything like that? Let me know.